Hi, I'm John with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we're going to be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember that anytime you work on an appliance, make sure that it is unplugged or the circuit breaker is turned off so there is no chance of electrocution. Today we're going to be showing you how to replace the motor for your GE dryer. It's a fairly simple job that only requires a Torx 20 screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, a flat blade screwdriver, a 5/16 inch nut driver, a 4mm Allen wrench, and a 3/8 inch socket. When you open the package, you're going to get a new dryer motor assembly. The main reason why you'd be replacing the motor assembly is if the dryer won't start at all, or during operation it has a very loud noise. Start by removing the 4 Torx head screws that retain the main control panel for the dryer. Then slightly lift up, lean forward, and then roll back the main control panel assembly. Open the front door, locate and remove the 2 Phillips head screws that retain the top metal panel. Next, slightly lift up on the front of the panel, pull it forward, and then remove the top panel assembly. Then, locate and remove the 2 Phillips head screws that hold the front panel to the dryer. Then lift up slightly on the front of the dryer drum and then slowly tilt forward the main panel. Disconnect the wiring harnesses that go to the dryer door switch and the internal light. Next, lift up and remove the front panel assembly. To remove the old drive belt requires accessing the belt tensioner. With the belt tensioner released, then remove the drive belt from the drum assembly. Afterwards, remove the main drum assembly from the dryer cabinet. With the dryer drum removed, we now have access to the main motor assembly. Pull the door switch wires to the front support panel used for the motor assembly. Note the orientation of the wires on the cycling thermostat, then remove the yellow and white wires. Remove the Phillips head screw that retains the cycling thermostat to the housing assembly. Then remove and set aside the thermostat. Make careful note of the orientation of the motor wires, as you'll need to remove some of the wires that go to the motor assembly. In our case, it's the green wire, red wire, pink wire, yellow wire, and a black wire. Then remove the orange wire from the belt tensioner switch. Remove the 2 small Phillips head screws that retain the rear mounting bracket for the motor. Remove the 2 long screws that hold the blower housing assembly to the main front support panel. Then, carefully remove the blower wheel and motor assembly from the dryer cabinet. Remove the bolt that retains the bracket that holds the whole fan assembly to the shaft of the motor. With the blower fan removed, remove the back part of the bracket. Use a Phillips head screwdriver to remove the screw on the front of the mount assembly. Then, use a nut driver to remove the 2 screws and then remove the bracket assembly. Carefully pull down and then lift up on the spring retainer that holds the front edge of the bearing assembly. Afterwards, remove the motor from the mount assembly. Here's the old dryer motor next to the new one. If you already have a new motor, great. If not, you can get it from appliancepartspros.com. The new dryer motor comes with two styles of pulleys, a long and a short. The old style motor had a short pulley, so we used the short pulley in our application. Just slide it on the shaft, then use an Allen wrench to tighten the retaining bolt. Remove the orange wires from the old motor assembly, and then reinstall them in the same orientation on the new motor. Then install the new motor into the original chassis, making sure that the wires are orientated the same way as with the old motor. Then reinstall the spring-style mounting clip on the front edge of the motor assembly. Next, install the rear bracket and then thread in the two retaining screws. Before reinstalling the front fan assembly, we used this opportunity to clean up all the old lint and dust that had accumulated on the bracket. Then reinstall the small Phillips head screw that holds the small retaining bracket to the overall assembly. Afterwards, install the inner bracket on the shaft. Then mount the fan assembly on the shaft. And lastly, put the outer clamp on and thread it in with the bolt. If the belt tensioner fell off when installing the new motor, be sure to reinstall it before putting the motor back into the dryer cavity. Reinstall the main motor assembly. Getting the fan into the fan shroud is a little bit tricky, but wiggle it in place and the mounting tabs should align. Then reinstall the two screws that hold the mount on the pulley side. Thread in and tighten the two long screws that retain the motor assembly to the main front support panel. Reinstall the cycling thermostat and thread in and tighten the retaining screw. Reconnect the white and yellow wires. Afterwards, reconnect the wires to the main motor assembly. In our case, the wiring order was green, red, pink, yellow, and black. Reconnect the small orange wire that goes to the belt switch. Within the front support panel, reposition the three wires that go to the interior light and the door switch. Reinstall the main drum, making sure that the bearing goes into the support. Next, reinstall the old belt on the drum assembly. Just make sure that the ribbed portion goes against the drum and the smooth part is on top. And then hook up the tensioner pulley. Afterwards, reinstall the front panel assembly. Start by positioning the slots in the bottom of the panel with the two alignment tabs on the dryer cabinet. Reconnect the wiring harnesses that operate the door switch and the internal light. Lift up slightly on the drum assembly and then tilt the main panel forward. Thread in and tighten the two screws that retain the front panel. When reinstalling the top panel, make sure that it aligns with the tabs on the top of the dryer cabinet, and then lower down the top. Once the top is in position, open the front door and thread in and tighten the two retaining screws. Then, rotate the main control panel into position, making sure that the alignment tabs go into the slots in the main cabinet. Thread in and tighten the 4 Torx head screws that retain the main control panel assembly. Afterwards, reconnect the power cord, and then you can take the dryer for a spin. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. And be sure to check out our other repair videos on our website, on our Facebook page, and on our YouTube channel.